Welcome to Local Legends, thanks to the Inside Game for active mental health. This podcast isn't about headlines or fame, it's about the people you might not see on national stages, but whose seasons, setbacks and leadership quietly shape communities over time. Local Legends explores the mental shifts and identity growth that happens throughout sport, told through real stories from people who've lived it. Because sport doesn't just test skill, it reveals response. And that's where the inside game lives, in the space between reaction and response under pressure. As you listen, I'd encourage you to think about your own seasons, the long ones, the difficult ones, the moments that changed you. This is episode 1. This is Kevin Marshall from Narracourt, South Australia. Welcome to Local Legends, Kevin Marshall. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your time.
No worries at all, mate.
I firstly just want to start with the text message you sent me a little bit earlier, which said you might be a little bit comfortable with the tag local legend, but in my humble opinion, you are the epitome of a local legend. And I knew that would probably make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but that's all right. You deserve the tag, I believe, because, you are what Local Legends is here for, and your story, I think, is one that needs to be told. So,
thanks.
Thanks for coming. So, we'll just start back as early as your first sporting memory, playing or non-playing, or just whatever your first sporting memory is, if you can remember back that far.
Jesus, that's going back a long time. Probably. Obviously, I started soccer at an early age, about 6 or 7, pretty more 7. Don't really remember much about that. It's probably, if anything, it's probably little athletics. That was probably, heading out to the high school Friday nights. That was probably the big starting point. Then obviously, it progressed into a lot more in depth, I suppose, into the sports.
Into competitive sort of structured sports from there.
Yeah. Obviously, as you get a bit older, you get, Saturday mornings, Saturday afternoons, footy, cricket, and all that sort of stuff. Once you get a bit older, that's when you sort of take a bit more note of what's going on and what's around.
Yeah. So little athletics is probably the first memory I have of you as a sporting person, as an athlete, Kev, because obviously we've grown up together. It was that. Would you say that's your first love, or was that sort of soccer once you got that far into sport?
No, definitely athletics. That's definitely my first love. It's just in all sports, like especially as a young one, you just go there and just compete, have fun, participate, as you suppose you call it, then just enjoy it. And especially when you're doing it with all your school friends, always. A little bit of banter in the schoolyard and that's the thing, but everyone's being 7, 8, 9 years old, everyone's just easily forgotten about all the banter and it's just all about just having fun. Yeah, right. So can you take us just back a little bit further? Obviously, before you started Little Aths, there's obviously a few differences with the way you had to grow up and a few physical differences. Do you mind talking about those? No, that's fine, mate. No dramas. So a bit of I'm not sure on the percentages, always get it wrong, but I was born with a bit of a rare defect, as in my heart's on the wrong side. It's what or the scientific name, I suppose, for the doctors out there is the dextrocardiac. Also, they found I've got a couple of missing ribs and no actual muscle in my left arm either. So, a few little difficulties there, obviously, growing up, but to me, parents' credit, they just said, "Well, just go and enjoy fun, have fun, just be a kid," and it's probably been a blessing, I think. So
yeah, great. And knowing your parents, they've obviously done a wonderful job on you, with you, I should say. But obviously your dad was a keen sportsman himself. I have, there's a score sheet in your old man's house, taking all 10 wickets in a cricket game. So he was obviously someone that I assume you would have looked up to as a young kid too.
Oh, definitely. He was when sort of I was, well, sort of got into my sport as such, as a young fella, or young tacker, who's probably finished his sort of cricket and football. He sort of dabbled in that a bit. Football and soccer. But he's a very keen cricketer, very, very good at it too.
Very good bowler.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, some of that didn't rub off on me, but no, I definitely looked up to him. He was just played sport in the right way. As you grow up and you become an adult yourself, just having a drink afterwards, whether it's a water, beer, Coke, doesn't matter. Just because you've just been out there having a bit of fun with your mates, sometimes playing against your mates, and just knowing at the end of it, you can have a drink socially, talk about anything. It's really good. I found. So
yeah. So your early days in athletics, obviously, I would assume put you in pretty good stead to get the best out of yourself.
Oh, definitely. Blue athletics, especially, is great for that. Obviously, Narracle's had their own. Jess Trengrove, obviously, recently. She started out there. I really never thought I'd go that far, so I didn't. I was more into the team sports. But Blue athletics just gives you that competitive edge. Yes, it's more individual, but also when you go away as a team into athletics, to run against other towns and that sort of thing, sort of brings everyone back together into a team environment. And Blue athletics was definitely a big stepping stone for my sport.
Yeah, great. So there you go, kids. If you're listening, get into anything you want to get into, but do it just as Kevin said, with a good spirit and a bit of competitiveness, and have fun, and you'll go a long way. But let's go to what your first involvement was with competitive sports. Obviously, soccer was one of them, but you're a man of many talents, Kev. You've played a lot of sports, and I've played a lot of them with you. What was the first? I assume Narracleton United Soccer Club was the first club you belonged to?
Yeah, I reckon it was. That would have been. Definitely Narracleton United Soccer Club would have been. That's probably been a big part of my life, probably 36, 37 years. Might be a couple more years older, more than that. It's been a huge part of my life, especially recently with my young son also joining up. That was the first one. Then you went into obviously your school sports with your, but as you got older, into football and cricket there, and then obviously you got into your team or your town teams with cricket and football there too. So, but no, definitely soccer was definitely the first sort of team environment.
Yeah, and obviously, as you've already mentioned, you've obviously made and kept a lot of friends from those sporting clubs and sporting teams and things that you've done. So from starting at soccer and your little athletics, you've gone through to playing football, Aussie rules footy, cricket, basketball, and just about won every, not just individual award, but also premierships and finals and things in those sports too. So can you tell us a little bit about what, or perhaps just have a think about what life might be like if you didn't do that sort of thing?
Probably scary. It's probably scary, when sport's been such a big influence on your life, you almost can't imagine life without it. It's almost like your wife or your kids, sort of thing. Parents, obviously, that sort of thing. You can't imagine life without it when you're so much involved, whether it's as a participant, coach, spectator, even just person run the local canteen at a sporting club. They team manager, they're always involved, and it's probably a lot of people who have been involved in sport over numerous years. Probably it's almost say the same thing. Like you're not sure what it'd be almost scary where you would end up without it. I think.
Got to agree.
So yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, where else? Oh, yeah, it's a bit hard on that one because it's yeah. I must have never really thought of it because sports, as you know, sports has been a big part of my life. So it's yeah, probably nothing I've ever thought of.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Has there been any tough times as far as obviously life has its own tough times regardless, but any sort of times where you thought, gee, maybe I should just step back and not do this for a while?
Yeah, it's probably more so recently, the last probably 3 or 4 years. As you get a bit older, family comes along, a few little niggles of injuries pop up. You sort of sport as a priority doesn't probably come, to the forefront of your mind. That's probably the biggest one. But also, as a youngster, well, sort of 16, 18, 19 years old, you're still trying to find your way in life as well.
Yeah.
And as long as I think I had some really, really close mates around me who we always enjoyed a beer, always went out on the soccer field, football field, basketball court, whatever, and we just loved it, just had fun afterwards, during it, on the court as well, or field, cricket pitch, whatever you want to call them. But definitely, yeah, probably more so 16 and 19. You're still, as a teenager, late teenager, early adult, you're still trying to find a way in life where your life might take you.
Yep.
But then, yeah, definitely, like from then until, yeah, you get older, and you say older and wiser. Don't know if it's wiser if you keep on playing sport, but yeah, then it's obviously a few niggles and the priorities of waking up on Sunday morning to go down to a wintry Portland probably isn't the best thing.
Yes, yeah, I can understand that. It can be not ideal, those sort of mornings, and especially in a place like Portland, Victoria.
Yeah,
it can be quite cold. You never really, though, as far as I'm aware, and I like to think I know you quite well, I've never really recalled you having any major injury setbacks. You've always sort of kept your body and yourself really in a good athlete's peak condition, I think. That's from an outsider, but tell me a bit more if there's any things that sort of did set you back, especially even early with the physical conditions, or was detracting from you?
No, nothing that I can recall. Touch wood. Anyway, that's for sure. But it's. I think it's the amount of sport I played. I wasn't ever unfit as such. Especially as a teenager, you sort of 3 or 4 nights a week were taken up by whether it's trainings or games or anything like that. Then you got the weekends. You're playing football, then you're doubling up to soccer. I find you're always fit. And once sort of I've got older and stopped playing a few of those sports, just in the off season, just trying to keep yourself at least half fit. So when sort of the dreaded pre-season comes along, you're sort of already a step or two in front of everyone else, so you can sort of ease yourself into it. But yeah, you've always had little niggles, hamstrings or calves or something like that, groins. But it's thankfully it's only been a couple of weeks and then back into it.
I do recall one moment in soccer, and it was scary enough for us watching you, because in those days we often played 2, sometimes 3 games, depending if we were juniors still, in one day. And I recall your whole body going into cramps. That was scary enough for us to see. What was that like for you?
It's pretty crazy, actually. Yeah, it's because obviously usually when you've played a certain amount of sport in the one day, you can obviously naturally cramp up lactic acid. But because I played 3 games of soccer and hadn't eaten except breakfast, hadn't just had water. It's just sort of the body just said enough's enough, mate. Like you've just got to and that was a pretty scary experience. Monday, I think it might have been 17, going on 18.
Yeah.
When I went to school the next day on the Monday, I said to a few people that it felt like you'd run a marathon because the leg muscles were just that tired just from the cramps. that was pretty scary. Yeah, I always remember that night because getting put into probably wasn't the best, but put into the back of someone's car on a table. Yeah, that was sprawled out, agony and cramps. Yeah, that was fun times.
I recall it vividly, and it was, like I said, it was scary enough for us to see, let alone be actually have it happening too. So I guess you could call it. Did that change your approach? Like I know that your initial approach before that, and probably even afterwards, because knowing you anyway, was that once you're on the pitch or on the field or on the court, you give it 100%. And there would have been from watching as an outsider, you would have been doing that regardless of playing 3 games of soccer in one day. Each time you're out in each game, you're giving it 100%. Did you have to pull that back at all after that, or?
No, if anything, I just got a bit smarter with nutrition. I can't say nutrition but just having even just something to eat at lunchtime, like regardless, even if it was just a sausage or anything, or a hamburger, just something that would at least you got in your stomach or had a bit of salt in your body, just to at least keep you going for the rest after that. So that was the thing I learned from that experience was probably you just make sure you've obviously have your breakfast and all that sort of stuff, but also make sure you're having something. If you're doing it over the whole day, make sure you keep eating. It doesn't have to be like a hamburger with a lot and stuff like that. Something huge, but just something even small, just to keep the body refueled, especially in the warmer days.
Yeah, for sure. So is there anything in any sport, in any of your any of the games you played in either sport that you did play, was there any time that you thought, I don't know if I want to go back to this? Anything that happened
If anything, maybe as a junior with football, you sort of, I said before, sort of that 16 to 18, 19-year-olds, I sort of took the path of soccer instead of football. And it's just, just that mentality as when you come out from senior colts as under 17 to then take on more as a 30-year-old adult, you're only, I was just going on to 18 and probably 65 kilos, trying to take on someone, 30 years old, 95 kilos is probably, it's a little bit daunting. So probably, that probably led me to go soccer path, which, sort of, I gave up football for, numerous years, but then I went back and got over that and loved it. It's probably 10 years later, and absolutely loved it. So. And
didn't just love it, won a flag.
Yeah, won a flag. Yeah, no, there's definitely that ticked off one of the bucket list items, as they say. Yes.
Yeah. What was that? We've played football for the same club, the Kirby Footy Club, and I've done the same thing as you a couple of years earlier. Won one with them. What was that feeling at the final siren? Something you still do, because I definitely do when I think
definitely. Definitely remember it. It's probably for other guys would have been. It's not, I don't know, them would have started back in January. Well, for myself that year, I just got pulled out on the Friday night. They were called up, I should say, and because they were short. And I'd be about 7 or 8 games in, and then played the rest of the year and won a flag. So it was sort of, it was just luck of the draw in one sense. But definitely, it's relief as well. So it's probably a bit hard for that one for myself, but you could see it in the other people's eyes. I was just, you start in January to do pre-season, and obviously the end goal in a team sport is to win a premiership, and just to win it, like it's like we weren't expected to, and then to win it like we did, it was just it was fulfilling anyway. That's for sure.
And so I'll just stay on the footy train for a bit, because in our junior days, Kev, we played, senior Colts football, under 17s football together. And I remember in our last year, we had Ken Solly as our coach. Now, he probably still remains one of the more memorable coaches that I've had. What about you?
Oh, definitely. Unfortunately, I can't remember everything that he said, but just his wisdom. He could just the way he could speak to, especially like teenagers, and just could just get the best out of you without having to. Not it would never downgrade you. Don't get me wrong, but just the way he spoke, and if you raised your voice, you just listened, because it wasn't as if he was turning you off, or what this that. It was just he just wanted to get the best out of you. And there's definitely a few instances that year that there's where he did raise the voice, but it wasn't just to do your job. It was just to try and get the best out of you. And it was just definitely no offence to any other coaches I've had throughout my sport, but he's definitely in the top two or three I've had over my sporting career. And I always remember, and even to this day, even still, whenever I see him, I always say g'day and thanks for that year. I was probably, if anything, a bit disappointed we didn't get another year with him, really. But
he's definitely a great coach, and I do bring him up because he obviously saw something inspirational in you. And because he wanted you and made you captain of that team that year, and we finished the year in the finals. But I recall we had our first final was a big comeback win in the last quarter, and I recall one of the last plays that was a game-saving mark in the back line that you just ran from the wing back across and took a big mark and stopped their forward momentum. Siren goes, we win the game. So Ken obviously identified something inspirational in you to already have you in that position for that year. It was a great move, I think. How did you feel, though, when he sort of pointed you out and said, Kev, with your history and what you've done for other people, the way you are a leader, I want you to be captain. How'd that go?
Shocked. Because, most times, especially in junior sport, the captain is the best player. But that's just the way it is until you get sort of a bit older, and that's something they then go out more towards leadership, club man, that sort of thing. But as a junior, I was by no means the best player at all. If any might have been in the top 10 if it was lucky, sort of thing. But it was just I definitely shocked, surprised, but also welcomed it at the same time.
Yeah, right.
It was. You had a lot of great mates. Obviously, we all grew up together through maybe this primary school, high school. So it was an easy way to get into it. And I must admit, Ken sort of put a little bit of pressure on me as the season got longer to try and stimulate what he was trying to get into us. Try to stimulate that into me, into the rest of the team. So more or less, I took on a bit more of a spokesperson, I suppose, from him to the group, which I must admit, in that time, no chance. I was probably useless at it, but it probably helped. It probably helped guide me into, probably a sort of the leader as I am now, is what I see myself. It probably helped grow me into that role. Just as a starting point, just for him to give me that confidence to actually be able to do that. At first, definitely shocked and overwhelmed, but then as the season and you sort of got your head around it, I was grateful. So
how did you get your head around it? Like, what was there any sort of defining moment in that year that, apart from him, as you've just mentioned, was there any other sort of moments that sort of made you feel a bit more at ease with that, or was it just a matter of getting used to it over time?
I think it's more just getting used to it over time. That's probably about it. You'd still have, even still, you see the AFL, you got, 4 or 5, you've got your captain and that sort of thing, but you got another 4 or 5 leaders, as they say. I probably had that as well. And then yourself, and then another 3 or 4 other guys that were our age, played footy since, for 10 years. We're all mates. We all just got along well. You didn't have to really do too much. These day and ages might be a bit different with senior college football. Probably a bit more vocal, but back then, it was sort of Ken was almost ahead of his time, trying to instill that into me to be a bit more vocal, and that sort of thing with the group that we actually had. So it's sort of, over time, it's just sort of, just ease yourself into it, I suppose.
Yeah. So once you obviously became pretty confident with the leadership positions from there, because you've obviously been coach, you've been a leader in the Narragansett United Soccer Club forever, and so you've coached juniors, you've coached seniors, you're still playing seniors. Is that correct? You're still playing?
Yeah.
Yep. So you've basically, you and your family with a few other people have basically held the Narragansett. I don't want to say that it's all on you guys, but the Narragansett United Soccer Club would be a very different place if it wasn't for you and your family and and a handful of others.
Yeah, definitely. As I said earlier, it's definitely been 35 to 40 years of my life, and then prior to that, obviously brothers and my father also. Played obviously before I did, but it's one of those things that once you commit to something, I'll go through with it all. And and if it helps someone else out, as we said about playing 2 or 3 games a day, but if it helps someone else to have a game that they love, well, if it's only the extra 20 minutes of soccer or football, or whatever, you just do it. Especially in country sport when it's very hard to find numbers. These times, it's sometimes you just got to do it, and it might only last for a couple of weeks, and then job's done. So it's
and the proof's right there, Kev, because you've mentioned at the start that your son's now signed up and playing soccer. So you keep that interest going, you keep yourself going through it, and you keep the club alive, and now you get to watch your son run around out there. And how good's that?
Yeah. No, it's awesome. No, thankfully he's only in the under 8s, the mini Roo, so it's not quite competitive soccer yet. But no, some of the kids make it very competitive, and it's very hard to tone it down sometimes.
Was that a thought a while ago, or has that sort of only come along that side of it once you've had kids, or was that sort of something you had one eye on back in the day that we keep this club going, we keep the things alive that you love, and one day there'll be pathways for kids to join up, yours or other people's kids? Was that always a bit of a goal, a bit of a side target to keep?
Not really, because pretty when we were growing up, it's a bit like Auskick. I'm not sure how long Auskick's been going, but it doesn't seem like, it might have been 10, 15 years maybe. Auskick with football. And they were the first ones, so that sort of the 5 to 10-year-old, I suppose. And then I think like then other sports like netball and basketball, and then soccer sort of jumped on board. But then once that sort of started, and Cooper was born, definitely you could. And he was up there practically every Sunday with me, and he is now. I can't sort of leave the house without having him in the car prior to me going up there, sort of thing. So, and you sort of knew like he was just gonna, he loves his sport. Don't know where he gets that from, but he loves his sport, loves his footy, he loves his soccer, and as whichever path he wants to go down, whether it's both like myself or pick or one, that sort of thing, but definitely now it's rewarding seeing some of the kids, especially now I've done it for 2 or 3 years, the skill level, the confidence I've got. It's awesome.
And Kev, this is exactly why I wanted you to be the first local legend, because this is what I was talking about. This is the epitome of a local legend. You've been in all different sports, in all different clubs in the area, and if people don't know in the Limestone Coast in general, most people will know who Kevin Marshall is. They would have heard the name before. Do you have sort of any moments that still get spoken about, or that you like to talk about, or people come up to you to talk about in your sporting life?
No, I can't say that really do. It's just everyone remembers, you sort of keep on saying it really, but when especially the soccer club, when they were struggling for numbers, we always bring up, especially, we always say, 20 or 30 years ago, people playing 2 games, 3 games, just to keep the club alive. We speak about that immensely the last, probably more so 5, 6 years, because we've been able to grow the club, whether it's from the juniors up into the seniors. The numbers have got better each year.
Yep.
And it's we always speak about that, about that. But then also obviously your premierships, like the only premiership in soccer I was involved in 4 years ago now, 2022. It was just relief as well, like that, especially the guys that were in part of it, who've been within the club for 10 or plus years. They sort of know we've always struggled, and to be able to finish with a premiership in the reserves was just relief on a few faces and shoulders, sort of thing. Like we finally got something for all those years of pain. That's
Yeah, and
so,
that was going to be my next question. Was is there, and you may have just answered it, but I might be wrong. Is there a season or a moment that is what's your proudest moment in sport across your whole life, across the whole journey?
It's probably too many not too many, but it's probably 4 or 5 that could, it's probably all. Obviously, your premierships are, whether it doesn't matter what sport it's in. With us to have won basketball, we've won 6 or 7 cricket ones, sort of thing. They always, soccer and footy always hold special memories, premierships. But then there's also those special wins. As a under 17s, you and the partner, we had eight players, and we knock off the team that was sitting second.
Yes.
That's what I think. We beat in the A grade in soccer again. Beat International, who's a powerhouse. We beat them 1-0. No, we haven't beaten them in the A grade since. That was 26 years ago. That sort of stuff. And then if you speak of the special seasons, first one, especially for me, is as coaching, it was 2005, and we finished 4th. We probably could have gone a lot further if they had finals back then.
This is in soccer, sorry, Kev?
In soccer, yeah, mate. Yeah. And so most of these are just soccer, because I've played it for so long. There's just so many memories there.
Yeah.
Then obviously, when you finish off with a premiership 2022, you finish on top of the ladder with about 3 or 4 games to go. You can't lose a minor premiership. Then you go on and win the premiership or win the flag. It's just 30 years ago, 25 years ago, you were running around trying to find numbers, trying to find T-shirts or tops, for players, this or that. Then all of a sudden, you finally
3 games in a day.
Yeah. Then finally, you win something to be able to take back to the club, and say that you were a part of it. It's pretty special. So
that gives me chills listening to it, mate. Because I was 20 or 30 years ago, I was there at the club and know what the struggle was like. But for you guys that stuck it out and stayed, that would have to be so satisfying. Oh,
mate, that's the crowd on the sideline. So when you've got practically nearly every single club, other than obviously the team you're playing against, supporting you, and then just coming up, high five, when the game's done, high five, and you're hugging you, because it's all the guys that probably 25 years ago, they were once probably belting us on the park, by 20 goals, and these are the ones that they're giving you hugs, saying this is awesome, about time, that sort of thing. It's definitely. Then the spectators, who some of them had stopped playing, and they were then just supporting, they were running up, just jumping on you with relief. Yeah, like it's that's. You spoke earlier about the football flag in 2009. If anything, that's probably how the other guys felt. I still have my parents, that sort of, and family come up and can congratulate you, but I probably wasn't, there from January or, done the hard yards, where with the soccer grand final or premiership, you'd done the time.
Absolutely.
It was probably well and truly overdue.
And such a good reward for such a good club too. And it was obviously something that you really, really deserved, with all the hardships that club, the Naracoorte Soccer Club, has been through, to get something, as you said, to get something back, and you to be a key part of it. You can only be proud of you, and you can only be proud of yourself, mate.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, that was awesome.
Excellent. So I'll just go into a couple of quick fire things here. So answer as short and sharp as you need to, or elaborate as much as you want. But just a couple of quick questions. All-time sporting hero, anywhere in the world, anybody.
Funny you actually asked that. I've just been watching about the third or fourth time. Michael Jordan has to be.
Yes, I share that one.
Yeah.
The Last Dance. Been watching that.
I'm watching it again for about, like I said, the third or fourth time, I reckon. Yeah.
I've done the same thing, mate. I think I'm up to re-watch number 4 or something. Yeah. Definitely share that one. And is it the competitiveness of MJ, or is it the whole package? What is there anything specific?
Oh, yeah, competitiveness, but also, like, you know, media can obviously blow things up as well. But the way he just, way he just drove himself to be the best. Like, you know, he got knocked back at high school, came back, and all of a sudden I was going, "Who is this kid?" Like, he just, and his parents said he just, for that whole 12 months was just, or summer I think it was, sorry, he just had a basketball in his hands where he just wanted to be the best, and you know, and all the way through until he retired. From the Bulls, not so much for Washington, but for the Bulls the second time, he was still the best in the league, like at 36 or 37 years of age. You know, it's something like that. It's just crazy.
And as a kid growing up in the 90s, it's hard not to fall in love with that, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. You know, it's
now to look back.
Always stir up the young fellas, the young people who follow the basketball these days quite heavily, and they say LeBron's the best. Then you need to go back about 30 years and see MJ play.
Definitely, totally agree with that. So, from your sporting hero to your all-time favourite sporting moment, anywhere in the world, anybody, anytime, what do you think's been the best moment? Whether you've witnessed it firsthand or on TV or whatever.
Oh no, now you say that, that's easy. Probably, I was probably got a couple now. Now I think of it, definitely. When we qualified for the World Cup, I think it was 05. That was just it's probably for Naracoorte soccer as well. Put us on the map here, but also put more so, obviously, Australian soccer on the map. Like, everyone had heard of the Kules and the Badukas and these guys, but definitely, you know, that put us on the map. And, you know, when you see people down the street when the World Cup was on, I think in 06, it was, "Oh, did you watch World Cup?" One, hang on, you don't even know anything about soccer. It just brought everyone, the whole country, together. Yeah, that was huge. But then also heading over to Perth and watching the Mighty Demons win the flag in 2021. That's definitely a little bucket list. You know, I've been pretty lucky that way. But that was definitely, thankfully, I was there to witness it and celebrated with. Quite extensively that evening, that's for sure.
And a bit of parallel there, because I'm on where you might have been 10 years ago with being a Melbourne supporter. Me being a Kangaroo supporter is probably where you guys were back then, because it was a long time suffering to get to that stage, wasn't it? And a bit of a parallel between yourself and your soccer club and the club you follow in the footy.
Yeah, it's quite funny that way. Yeah, it's like I love following the underdogs almost, isn't it?
I can imagine. I think I might be waiting a long time for my Roos to get to where Melbourne were, but you can only stick it out and wait, can't we?
That's all you can do, mate. Yeah.
So, is there any thoughts that you have on current day sports and the way things are run and won these days compared to back when you were doing it?
Probably just indulging into too much of it, or into the rules and regulations. I think, especially talking more so from the AFL point of view. There, I think that's need to let it go for a while. Like, actually, instead of changing the rules every single year, just stick to a rule and just let it play its course for a while.
And for a lot of people there, I reckon.
Yeah, it's just. That's probably the biggest one, because I watched a lot of AFL. That's probably the biggest gripe, I reckon, at the minute. It's the rule changes. That some of the technology, obviously, can still be working. But the same thing. That's just it's always going to be hiccups here and there. That's just the same thing. Though. It's just a work in progress. They're not going to. It's not going to be perfect from day dot, but in it might be 2 or 3 years' time, it potentially will be. And that's the same as the rules. If they let it go for 2 or 3 years, the players, coaches, spectators might actually go, yeah, this is actually good. Or if it's no good, well, then you can get rid of it, sort of thing. So
yeah. Give it a bit of time for a bit of proof to show up a few patterns and things. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, spot on.
All right, we're nearly done, Kev. Just a couple more things. Advice to your younger self, if you could give it, what would it be?
Probably enjoy yourself more as a young fella. Like instead of trying to, probably I don't know if dictate's the right word, but trying to enjoy sport, have a lot more fun with it. I probably, as you get older and wiser, you sort of realise, you're closer to the end than the beginning. Just enjoy it while you're at that peak times. When sort of the peak fitness as such. Sort of 19 to 30, when you can, you run your 100 metres quick, or you can just rock up the train and just run, or just rock up to a game and do whatever. Just enjoy it, because it doesn't last long.
Yeah. So, yes. Yeah. Good point. And does that sort of mean like just being in the moment a bit more, or just overall socially, everything, just in generally?
Yeah, just everything. Probably, yeah. Just when you obviously you naturally get white line fever, but probably just ease that back a bit, because it does take a lot of time, especially for when you're a teenager. Testosterone levels are sky high and this and that. But just enjoy the moment, but enjoy the sport that you're out there playing, whether it's soccer, footy, netball, basketball, hockey. It doesn't matter. Just enjoy it. It is only a country sport. Yes, some people go further and play AFL, or play in a higher grade in Adelaide for soccer or football, netball, states and that sort of thing. But even if you don't make it that far, just enjoy it still. If that's the biggest thing I've got out of sport, is enjoyment, the camaraderie, the teammates, the friendships. It's endless almost. Yeah. So good advice. I'd say enjoy it as much as you can. Is that going to be the advice to Cooper, son? Oh, definitely. All those little kids, as underage, I'd take. That's I said earlier, it's pretty hard sometimes to tone them down, because they love winning, or get a bit down if they aren't winning. And I've sort of, every session I sort of say, guys, I don't care what the score is. Did you guys have fun? Yeah. So that's all it should matter about. It's obviously everyone loves to win and that sort of thing, but in sport, it's not the be and end all. That's for sure.
Well, from our chat here today, Kev, I can sort of the theme has been the moments with mates and the camaraderie of sport that's sort of present throughout your whole journey there, mate. Is that the biggest takeaway?
Definitely. You're always going to have your school friends, or you play your sport with your school friends, that sort of thing. Like us do have, for too long almost. But then I've got, through the soccer, I've got lifelong friends from association teams, from under 11s. That's with Facebook, social media, the old technology, helps that in that way, shape, and form. To keep in contact, but we're all still friends from from when we were 10 years old. Now we're pushing 44, and just friendships, the camaraderie in your team, especially when if you can achieve that final goal of winning the premiership, it's the feeling's nothing better.
To do it with your mates is something special.
Yeah. Oh, it's huge. When you can, especially when you walk off and knowing on both teams, including the opposition, you've had a good solid hit out, a good game. It's been fair. Whether you've won or lost doesn't matter. You can have a beer, or like I said, Coke or water afterwards. Chat about life, families, whatever. It makes sport well worth it. And I said the friendships you take is probably a bonus, and a lifelong.
Yeah, well said, mate. Well said. I do like to wrap it up with what keeps you connected to sport now, but you're still playing it. So that's obviously answered that one.
That's probably sometimes that could be a stupid thing too, to keep on playing at our age, but that's right. As someone said about 20 years ago, you're a long time retired, and that's just sort of stuck in my head. So let's keep on going for as long as I can now.
My old man told me that about football. So I played a couple of years extra than I was going to and ended up with a knee reconstruction. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
Okay, mate, thank you. I really appreciate your time. As I said at the start, you, to me, are the epitome of a local legend. I'm proud to call you my mate. And we've won and lost and enjoyed a lot of times together on the sporting field. And
definitely.
Very privileged to be able to actually go through it with you, mate. I really enjoyed that, and thank you.
No worries, mate. Thank you.
If there's one thing to take from this episode, it's this. The seasons pass, the trophies fade, but who you become in the struggle stays with you. Leadership doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it begins quietly. And in responsibility, in setbacks, in long years without reward. That is the essence of the inside game. Recognising your reaction and choosing your response under pressure. Kevin did leave me with his preferred next guest for the Local Legends podcast, and that's Paul Rofe, an ex-SA Redback cricketer, also from Narracourt. Let's see if we can get him on the show. Thanks for listening to Local Legends. Until next time.